Hey guys, it's Mandy. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to take a minute to thank my patrons. You are the ones making this possible. You are the ones keeping restorative grief both on the airwaves and in the lives of people who need grief support and a better understanding of how to support themselves through their losses. So if you're interested in joining us, you can visit my website, mandykpart.com, for all the links to check out the premium episodes and premium content that are available to you by becoming a patron. Welcome back to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart. You are listening to episode 64, titled In Pursuit of Whole Self Healing. We are diving headfirst into the new year with a conversation about treating ourselves as whole, start to finish. We are not a people made whole after finding a partner, nor are we made whole once we finally have children, land a cool career path, or finally deepen our spiritual understanding of the world. All of those things have great meaning in our lives, but our wholeness is inherent. So today we're going to pursue some ideas to help us insist on our wholeness and the validity of working toward healing and restoration for our whole selves too. Well, my sweet listeners, it's finally the new year. We've cruised into 2023 in what feels like the blink of an eye. And if you're anything like me, you have 0 resolutions on the docket. I don't do resolutions for many of my own rebellious reasons, but the one I want to share with you today is that I believe resolutions send us chasing after the wrong type of healing. Now, you might be wondering if there is a wrong type of healing, and I will admit it's a bit of a misnomer. So perhaps the better word to use here would be an incomplete healing. Let me tell you why. When we grieve, our whole self, heart, mind, body, and spirit parts of us are thrown out of alignment with our values and our sense of self, right? We get confused and we wonder, who am I? As loudly and often as anyone will listen. We set goals and resolutions to try and fix what feels broken, too often over identifying with that idea of brokenness to the point that our wholeness seems to be lost forever. Think about the last 10 resolutions you set. What were they? How did they improve or bring healing into your life? Did you focus on weight or consumption? Did you add fitness or financial health goals? Maybe you wanted to travel more, but on the heels of a major pandemic, you still wonder if or when that's truly going to feel like a safe thing for you to do. See, when we think of resolutions, we tend to think of them in terms of improving our health, which is great. But from what I can see, it's usually the health of one or two aspects in our lives in isolation where we feel inadequate. There are the occasional few who set themselves multiple resolutions for all the different areas, but I wonder, how sustainable are those multiple goals at once? Because if they were simple to implement, I suspect we wouldn't need a restart each calendar year to remind ourselves to focus. Now, you can throw a dart in a bookstore and find any number of memoirs or self help books on discovering the value of therapy and therapeutic practices. The same is true of spiritual growth and physical health. And when we pick and choose or even become intentional to focus on all 4 areas of our whole selves, we may end up with a stack of new books to read that takes at least 4 of our months in the new year, which is lovely and helpful in many ways, I'm sure. Although personally, I burn out fast on self help or improvement books, especially when grief is involved. In my life, I have 3 major grief event anniversaries in January. My latest miscarriage, the death of my grandfather way back when I was 13, and the death of my mother in 2016. It is a very complicated time of year for me to start thinking, well, better pull myself together and start improving. So, knowing how many obstacles I carry, how can I make space for myself to pursue healing in even one of these areas, let alone all 4? That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Because the answer is by relying on my core values. That's right. I want you to picture your resolutions, or however you press reset at the start of the new year, with your core values in mind. Instead of making one of those SMART goals, right? SMART, that are specific and measurable and timely and realistic, try thinking big picture this year. What core value do you want to embody that could move the needle toward health for you in all 4 areas of your whole self? This is often where we get creative. Like I said, I don't love resolutions, but when I invite myself to think about my whole personhood in terms of improved health along the lines of a core value, my perspective changes. I'm no longer looking at myself with a vision of lack, but of growth. Last year, my goal was nourishment, mind, heart, body, and spirit. What do I want to add into my life that leaves me feeling nourished? And how do I frame my so called resolutions around that value of nourishment? For the last 12 months, I have both succeeded and failed at pursuing nourishment. In all four areas, my focus has shifted back and forth. Some months were easy, some crawled one day at a time. But you know what I didn't experience? Condemnation, because I didn't set a goal that allowed me to fail. I set a flexible standard of compassionate curiosity. So that way, when nourishment of my mind took a backseat to red wine and bachelor nights, I could offer myself grace and wonder why my mind needed to check out instead of grow. The same is true of my emotional state, being nourished with intentional heart work and allowing new relationships to gain access to my heart. That nourishment carried into my body, allowing me to change my connection to food, as well as appreciate my body itself for all the hard work it does, allowing me to live, even as I'm navigating health issues. And my spiritual health became something accessible in ways I've only dreamed about for the last few years. See, it wasn't that I had a specific goal in mind that I needed to reach or a deadline I had to attain. It was instead turning my attention toward myself with an attitude set toward nourishing every part of my whole being. So, with that in mind, what value is a worthy pursuit for you this year? It's okay if you're not sure. Sit with a list of values. And this isn't just like picking a word for the year and trying to live it out. I get that that's meaningful for a lot of us and for a lot of reasons, but I want you to truly pursue a value. Go back to your journals if you're not sure. Think about the biggest pain points in your story right now. What heavy experiences are you walking into repeatedly that could use a different intention as you approach? Feel free to borrow nourishment if that feels good to you. And of course, if one value doesn't fit in the first few weeks, change it. See, that's the difference of having a word for the year. Sometimes we feel beholden to that word and like we can't change it or can't allow ourselves to shift priorities. But when we're recognizing that our values are definitive of who we are and how we function, we also notice that, oh, yeah, we're changing, we're growing, we're evolving, we're integrating new things, and we're learning that different areas of our life need emphasis or attention at different times. For the first time this year in my whole life, my value of fun is my focal point. So, my question right now, and for as long as it makes sense, is how can I incorporate fun into my thought life, my emotions, my body, and my spirit of connection to myself, others, the community around me, and my spiritual practices? See, value work allows us to make our resolutions into something manageable, a moving target that grows with us. We don't have to minimize who we are to improve or heal. We have to learn how to take up more space. And this year, that looks like allowing the values we hold most dear to have a seat in navigation with us as we go. Thank you for listening to episode 64 of Restorative Grief. Before I let you go, I want to give you a sweet, somewhat cheesy phrase that I'm also including in my focus for the new year, and that's nourish to flourish. We all want to feel like we're flourishing in life, truly living a life that brings us joy, hope, and peace. But to remain in a place of flourishing, we must take in the things that give us nourishment. What feeds you in all four areas of your whole self, heart, mind, body, and spirit? Feast on those things and let them inform your values, your yeses, and your boundaries. This is where we will find wholeness and healing that we want and that we deserve. If this is your first time listening to Restorative Grief, then thank you for starting your year with me. I hope this is a conversation that allows you to start asking questions of your grief experience with compassion and hopefulness. Please take a moment to subscribe to the show, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love and see on the regular. That person is likely to be impacted by your new values and way of moving through loss, just like you. So inviting them into the process with some context is a great and loving thing to do. I also want to remind you before we go about the patron side of things, you can gain access to our monthly patron chats, bonus episodes, and more little surprises I may come up with this year by visiting the links in our show notes and joining. And one last thing, as always, please remember, the only solution for grief is to do the work of grieving. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week, and may this new year be joyful and gentle.